Hi, everybody. This is Frank Viscuso, and thank you for joining me for Step Up Your Game. And in Step Up Your Game, we're going to talk about how you could reach your peak performance, things you can do to become a great athlete. And I don't care if you're 7 years old or 27 years old. I think you're going to really appreciate and find value in this content. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a graduate of Kearney High School in New Jersey, class of 1986. Very proud of the time I spent there with Kearney High. And the two sports that I focused on the most were wrestling and rowing, also known as crew. I played football when I was younger. I played baseball. I played plenty of sports, soccer. I mean, you name it. But these were the two I focused on the most. Matter of fact, I even received a scholarship to the University of Charleston in West Virginia, where I continued rowing while I was out there as well. After college, I came back to Kearney, became a firefighter, spent more than 26 years with the town of Kearney. And I also became an author. And here's what's interesting about athletics. What I've learned in athletics has helped me achieve success in other areas of my life, whether it be the fire service or as an author of several books, including a few bestsellers. After I had written some books, I actually became a public speaker, and I do a lot of keynotes and seminar speaking throughout the country to businesses, do some consulting with individuals, and talk about building successful teams. I'm passionate about that, and you're going to find out why in just a few minutes. Now, it all started really in Kearney High School, because with this boat that you're looking at, this picture with these gentlemen on this boat, it was a defining moment for me and a few of these other guys, and here's why. The year before, a few of us were on the lightweight 4, where we went down to the national championships and placed 5th in the nation. That was our coach and 3 of the members of our boat. Myself and another member aren't included in that particular photo. But that was a big accomplishment for us. Now, a year later, 1986, our head coach wanted to break us into 2 4s again, thinking we would have a pretty good chance of winning a national title. But when he proposed that idea to us, we basically said we would rather go down as an 8 and lose than go down as a 4 and win. Why? Because we felt like brothers. We were so connected. We felt like it was us against the world for many different reasons. We just felt like the odds were stacked against us, but we believed in each other. Now, that boat you're looking at there, we didn't win the national championship, but we made the national championship final. Matter of fact, we accomplished so much that year that we were inducted into the Kearney High School Athletic Hall of Fame. You know, that banner that they have right there in the gym, right at the bottom of that banner, you'll see the lightweight 8 from 1986. That photo right there was the national championship qualifying heat where we broke the course record. And what was really awesome about it was those 8 guys and the 9th, who's not shown in the photo, the coxswain of the boat, Billy, we all had ownership mentality. Now, what is ownership mentality? To me, ownership mentality is the complete opposite of entitlement mentality. Entitlement mentality is people who don't want to really work and earn something. They just want to receive the rewards without putting in the work. Ownership mentality means I'm willing to do the work, whatever it takes to make it happen. These guys had that, and it was a beautiful thing. And matter of fact, what I learned there even helped me when I went to college, because when I went to college, there was 1 spot open on the varsity boat, and I was a freshman. The problem was I was a starboard rower, where my row came off from a certain side, and you're feathering with one hand, and there was only a spot open on a varsity boat for a port rower, which is kind of like learning how to write with another hand or learning how to be a switch hitter. It's not the easiest thing to learn. But what I would do is after practice, and our practices were 5:30 in the morning, when our practice ended and everybody went to breakfast, I took this portable rowing machine and I brought it down to the dock, and I taught myself how to row port. And then when the coach said, who wants a challenge for the last remaining spot on the varsity boat, I raised my hand. And he jokingly said, that's great, Viscuso, but you're a starboard rower. I kept my hand up. And he said, "You want to challenge for the spot?" I said, "Yes." And I ended up earning that spot. He later told me he knew what I was doing and he was impressed with it, but he wanted to see me follow through with it. See, what I did there was I just did a little bit more than expected. So many coaches want to see that. And that's what I want to talk to you about, is what your coaches want to see from you, what you can do to become better. See, as a coach of several little league teams, and I've coached travel teams, all-star teams, rec teams, more than 20 baseball teams that I've been a part of coaching or a manager. These are some of the things I can tell you that every coach wants to see from their team members. And we're going to cover them individually, but belief, humility, grit, character, sportsmanship, and attitude and effort. Let's take them one by one, and I want to start with belief. Belief is a powerful thing. If you believe in yourself, you only believe in yourself if you put in the work, so you have something to believe in. See, I just had this conversation with one of my boys tonight where I said, if you put the effort in, you will show up confident on game day. If you don't put the effort in, you have self-doubt, belief. See, you become what you feed your mind. I want to give you an example here to try to illustrate this point. Imagine a dirty glass of water that you were asked to drink. Maybe you're very thirsty, but this glass of water is full of dirt. You don't want to drink it because you don't want to put that into your body. How do you make it clean water? Well, let's say you don't have the option of dumping it out and refilling it. Well, here's something you could do, though. Is a powerful trait. I want to introduce you to Coach Chris Ayers, who's the head coach of Princeton Wrestling. And we had a great conversation where I said, how do you help someone overcome a loss? And here's what he had to say.
The opportunity exists in the loss because their ears are open. When they're always winning, it's like you could sort of say in a match that maybe something went wrong. You could say, hey, we could work on this a little bit bigger, but that pain isn't there from a loss.
Right.
A loss will cause you to change because, hey, look, man, you got to fix something. It's time to fix something on a loss. And I think that, in life, that's also the case, right? Like the losses often teach you way more than the wins.
The losses often teach you way more than the wins. What a powerful statement. Again, we're talking about humility. To have your ears open and your mind open to learning something new because you don't know it all. Sometimes we get tricked into thinking that successful people are just naturally successful. Well, here's the truth. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Imagine you walked into a room of 10 people, and in that room are a couple people who are very successful in an area that you want to be successful in. Well, here's something that you may not know. Those people have probably failed more than the other people in the room, and that's why they've achieved success, because they didn't quit. Why didn't they quit? Well, because they understood that the only way to get better is to find a way to get through these obstacles. You have to be humble to have that mindset. See, winning a game or acing a test does not determine your value as a person. How you respond to failure and the way you respect others is a greater measure of who you are. Humility goes hand in hand with grit. I think those are the two most potent character traits to have if you want to be successful in life. To be humble enough to know that you have to work hard, and to be gritty enough to be able to get through the challenges, because you will encounter obstacles. And there's been studies, there's been books written about grit. In one book in particular, the author talked about how grit was the great equalizer, how people who were smart, good looking, naturally talented or gifted or athletic did not have the advantage over the person that had perseverance, the person who had endurance to continue to press forward in the face of adversity. That's what grit is. This is Nick Santanastasso. You may know Nick Santanastasso. Maybe you've heard of him or seen him before. Nick was born with hand-heart syndrome, missing 2 legs and 1 arm. And on his 1 arm, He has one finger. And you would think that's a disability, but Nick is the first one to tell you that the biggest disability is a negative mindset, not a physical limitation. His parents never adapted anything in our house when he was a young boy to make life easy for him. They said, you will need to adapt to life if you want to be successful. And that's what Nick's done. He even wrestled in high school and did quite well. And I'll tell you something, that's not where it ends. He one time told me he wanted to compete in men's physique contests, which I thought, well, that's going to be a challenge. How can you create symmetry? Well, he figured out ways to do it and posted his videos online and has millions of followers because of it. And not only did he compete in a men's physique contest, one day he's working out in a gym, and who walks in? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, arguably the most famous man on the planet. And Dwayne knew who Nick was and wanted to take a photo with him. And I asked him, what did he say to you? And Nick said, well, he told me that people will never understand people like us, because most people will set their own limitations, and people like you and me, we just go out and create the life we want. What a powerful story, right? And that's what grit is. Now, I want to, again, introduce you to Nick and let Nick share with you some of his stories, because there was just maybe 3 years ago, he told me he wanted to be a motivational speaker, and we talked about it. And in less than 3 years, he's been speaking to audiences of 10,000 plus throughout the world. And it's been an amazing journey. And for me, it's been amazing just to watch him on his journey. Well, here's Nick.
You can listen to whatever you want to listen, but the only person that's going to make a change within yourself, the only person that is going to, help you reach your goal and get you closer to your vision each and every day is yourself. Right. And, it all starts with believing in yourself and believing in your ability to, obtain that vision. And, people don't understand that. Like, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in your ability to, reach your goal or, do whatever you need to do, no one else is going to believe in you. And the other thing they need to realize is the only person that needs to believe in you is you. Who cares about everyone else? Where would I be? Where would you be? Where would my parents be if they listened to all the limitations the doctors gave them? Where would we be if we listened to all these naysayers, all these people that just, don't think like us, don't operate like us? So at the end of the day, motivation is motivation, but implementing things into your life and actually taking action is all comes down to you.
One of the greatest pieces of advice I had ever heard was, if you want to be successful in life, get started and stop stopping. See, most people, they get started, they start working and training hard, and then they stop. Why do they stop? Because life gets in the way. In February of 2020, we were introduced to COVID-19, and the world shut down, and sports stopped. What's interesting? My boys didn't stop training. As young as they were, they went out and they trained 9 and 11 years old, almost every day, whether it was at home because it was too cold or whether it was at a field because it was warm enough. They were practicing their skills over and over and over again. I'll never forget the day we're playing baseball. It's just the three of us on the field. And afterwards, I sit them down and I say, boys, I just want to talk to you about something. Look around. We got 3 baseball fields here, and what do you see? And they said, empty fields. I said, right, except for this field and that one over there. And on the field next to us were 2 other people that were training, 2 professional Major League Baseball players. I said, over there, you have Major League Baseball players doing the same thing you're doing, putting in the effort that you're putting in. If they need to do it, and they've reached the pinnacle of success in the sport, you better believe you need to do it too. And it's not about becoming a pro athlete. It's about putting in the work. So when you step on that field or that court or that mat, whatever sport you compete in, you feel like you're ready to perform. The next one I want to talk about is character. I love talking about character. See, your character is more important than how good you are at any sport. Your athleticism is only temporary, but your character, the type of person you are, lasts forever. Be humble, be compassionate, be grateful, be honest, and put others first. Don't just try to be a great athlete. Strive to be a great person. There's been many great athletes in the world in the past, present, and there will be in the future. Here's one of them. This is Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was a running back for the Detroit Lions, and I'll share a little bit about him. He was a Heisman Trophy winner in college. In each of his 10 years in the NFL, he reached the Pro Bowl. He's a two-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, led the league in rushing 4 different years. In college and pro, he reached the Hall of Fame. And he was voted the #1 end zone celebration of all time by NFL Films. Now, you would think, well, that must have been a pretty fancy touchdown celebration. Did he dance? Did he spike the ball? Did he rip off his helmet and run around? No, he didn't do any of that stuff. You know what he did when he scored a touchdown? Barry Sanders would either hand or flip the ball to the referee every time. That's what he did. It was a sign of class. It was a sign of character because he wasn't trying to showboat. He knew he had a job to do, and that job was to get that ball in the end zone, and that's what he did. What he did is something I teach young athletes everywhere I go, which is when you do something great in your sport, you're expected to do some great things in your sport. That's why we train. Act like you've been there before. Don't try to showboat and show off and almost embarrass the other team because you just did something great. It's not about that. It's about the fact that you trained hard enough and you deserve to celebrate that moment. But do it in a classy way. That's character. And it's also sportsmanship. We had an interesting experience this last season. My son at 9 years old was asked to play in a playoff game for an 11-year-old travel team. And they put him in right field. And the very first batter got up and hit a beautiful shot to right field. And my son caught it. And then the next one got up and hit another great shot. And my son caught it. It was a great experience for us, but we expected him to catch it because he's been training hard for that moment. However, there's something that really struck me is when that ball was hit to him, the other team in the dugout were yelling, "Drop it, drop it, drop it."
Nice. Way to go, Nick.
He didn't drop it. He caught the ball, and I was proud of him. But I'll never forget thinking, I would never let my kids do that. If kids on my team cheered for the other team to fail, they'd sit on the bench because that's not sportsmanship. Don't cheer for the other team to fail. Cheer for your team to perform well. And don't do your talking with your mouth. Let your performance speak for you. What we say is do your talking with your bats and your gloves. Another thing we do not allow our players to do, we do not allow them to speak negative words to themselves or to others. So I don't want you to do it either. Lift your teammates up. Be that one that always builds them up and says, hey, you'll get them next time, or that was a great shot. I'm proud of you. Speak to them the way you want others to speak to you. Because if you have a team of people that are consistently lifting each other up, well, then you have a team. Show respect to the other players, coaches, and parents. And thank the umpire or the referee, win or lose after each game. This is what our boys do. They line up, they say good game to the other team, and then they shake hands with the referee or the umpire in our case and say thank you for your time. Now listen to me. This is the important part. Even if that umpire made a call that cost us the game, we thank him. Why? Because we're showing sportsmanship. And we know some calls are going to go our way and some calls aren't going to go our way. What's important is that we're developing ourselves for success in life, not just in baseball or on the wrestling mat or on the pitch or whatever sport it is that you play. Win or lose, show good sportsmanship. If you have time, go to YouTube and type in the Mallory moment. Mallory moment will give you a great example of sportsmanship. And here's the last one I want to talk about. Something that every coach wants to see from their players, attitude and effort. We tell our boys this. We have you for an hour and a half, a couple times a week. For that hour and a half, we want you to come with the right attitude and give us your best effort every single time. And I'm proud of them because they do that. Because I'm going to tell you in a minute the way you're going to play. Okay? The very first time these boys, when they were 7, many of them in the photo were on a team together. And it was a travel team. And they looked great. We thought they were going to dominate their first tournament. Well, they lost by 10 runs in 4 innings in our first game. And it didn't take me long to realize why. See, we were playing the same game as the other team. They just played at a different speed. They played with urgency. They played with specific intent. And our boys were just playing like it was practice. Well, we knew we had to change the way we practice. So we started ending each practice like it was a simulated game to practice for the speed of the game. See, your coaches, when you practice, they want to see you giving your best effort, because that's when they're determining who they're going to start, who's going to sit on the bench, who their go-to players are, who's earning playing time. You earn your playing time and you earn your positions at practice. See, you will play the way you practice. And they know that. So practice hard. You'll also play the way you believe that you're capable of playing. And you build your belief in practice. Championships and games are not won during the game. They're won all the time that leads up to that game. The practice, the time you put in, the effort, the training that you do, that's where you win or lose. That's where you improve your skills and become a starter. This is Frankie, the answer, Edgar. You may know who he is. He's a professional UFC fighter, also a New Jersey native. And I had the opportunity to sit down with Frankie, and we talked about showing up for practice and how some people show up ready to work and some people just show up. And I want you to hear what he has to say about it.
What habits do you attribute to success? I know you have the work ethic and the drive, but what are like some of your daily habits that you do when you wake up?
You know, my daily habits is I just try to make sure when I'm in the gym, I'm trying to compete to the hardest of my ability, to the best of my ability. I feel like if I'm going in there, like a lot of guys do this, they go in and they think being there is enough. Punching, like I always say, you can't just punch your ticket and all right, you're here for the day. You got to be in the moment. You got to be focused. Otherwise, you're just going to be turning the wheel, you know. And in the sport, has evolved so much over the years, and the reason I think I've been able to stay with that evolution is because of that reason, that I'm not in the gym just punching the clock. I'm in there trying to improve, trying to focus on things I need to do every day.
One of my favorite teams of all time is the 2015 USA women's soccer team. They won the World Cup that year. But what I love about that team is how they looked out for each other. See, Carly Lloyd was the captain of that team. And as the captain of the team, she played exceptionally well. Matter of fact, in the championship game, she scored a hat trick, 3 goals, including 1 goal from half field, which was absolutely spectacular. What I love about that goal is that Carly trained to do that. She trained for that moment. She performed at a very high level, and she proved that she deserved to be the captain. And that's what that blue armband around her arm represents. Now, with just a couple minutes left to play in the game, Abby Wambach came in. Now, Abby Wambach was the team captain 4 years earlier. And although she was playing from the bench most of the World Cup, playing just a couple minutes every game because she's nearing the end of her career, she runs on the field and Carly Lloyd takes the captain armband off of her arm and she puts it on Abby's. Why? As a sign of respect. Well, Abby later took that armband off of her arm, put it on Christy Rampone's, and when asked why, she said, because she will always be my captain. See, teams fail when one person wants to take all the credit, and these ladies knew that. So what they did is they continuously gave the credit to each other and understood they're only as strong as their weakest link, and they built each other up. I want you to hear a few words from Carly Lloyd about where her drive comes from. Passion is a word that I think of when I think of Carly Lloyd. I think of driven, I think of perfectionist, and I think of work ethic. And it's probably because I follow you on Instagram and I watch how you're training all the time. And I'm thinking, maybe it's a part of your blue collar New Jersey upbringing, and maybe you could talk about that. And let's just start with that. Where does it come from? Where does your drive and passion come from?
It started from an early age. I was a kid who just loved playing any sort of activity. I was the gym class hero in school. We often had field days. I'm not sure if they still currently do that, but I would be just uber competitive throughout those opportunities. And when I was younger, I literally picked up every sport, football, baseball, basketball. It didn't matter if it was a male sport, female sport. I just picked up everything. And if I couldn't do something right away, I would try, and I would keep trying. If I couldn't throw a spiral in a football first or second try, I would keep trying until I got it. And I was someone who wasn't afraid to try different things, and wasn't also afraid to try something and sort of fail at it in the beginning. And I just loved it. I loved competing. I was uber competitive. I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and there was no mercy on them because they were younger. I did everything possible to win. So maybe that is a little bit of the Jersey, Philly mentality. The town I grew up in Delran, was a small working class neighborhood, blue collar working neighborhood as well. So it was just something I think that was kind of ingrained in me as a little kid, and just continued.
In closing, I want to share with you something we talk to our boys about regularly. Every day you show up for practice like you're trying to make the team. Every day. Don't show up thinking you're the starter. Show up knowing you need to earn that spot. And when you play a game, play like you don't want to let your teammates down. I hope you found value in this presentation. I hope you understand the power of doing more than expected, and I hope you have a great season. Thank you for your time.